Hello again, Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games here, back for another Warmachine painting video. This time, the Mercenary Warcaster unit Caines Hellslingers. Oh, if I end up coughing or sound kind of funny, it's basically that the state of Colorado is on fire. I am nowhere near the fire itself, but I am getting a lot of smoke from it. So starting off with Golden Skin 09092. So this is the third incarnation of the Signar Warcaster Alistair Caine, who was basically the James Bond of Signar. Now he's a mercenary on his own with the remnants of the Black 13th, Watts, and Ryan. So this is Caine's third version, and Ryan and Watts' second, with their original CO, Lynch, apparently having been KIA. So they do, however, let's see, where's this color? 09044 tan skin. They do have the Signar partisan rule, so they can be taken in Signar and count as a Signar Warcaster as well. Given their abilities outload, they actually have more to gain from working with Signar, just because of their better Warjack choices for ranged options. And now this is Watts. He was the stealth guy in the Black 13th, and he has upgraded from a Mage Lock pistol to a rifle. But essentially, Caine was on a secret mission to assassinate Julian Railthorn, who's now king, which was given to him by the head of, what's the group, the Signar Reconnaissance Service, which is basically their equivalent of the CIA. And yeah, that didn't work out as planned. Julian's now on the throne of Signar, and we've got the Black 13th and Caine forming Caine's Hellslingers now. And then for Ryan, 09047 fair skin. So yes, Ryan is a woman. First name is Darby or Darcy, something like that. But she's also the strong arm in that she's skilled enough to be able to handle 2 mage locks at once, which is a fairly rare ability. Generally, there is a dilution in power when a gun mage tries to do 2 weapons simultaneously. And yes, all 3 of them are gun mages. Caine finally picked up an attack type, at least in the current incarnation of the unit. But wizards that put a spell into every bullet fired. Can't remember all their individual abilities off the top of my head, but versatility alone makes them useful. Or powerful, rather, is the word I'm looking for. I've been inhaling bad smoke fumes from a forest fire all day. I'm a little rattled. Let's see, which one is it? Okay, Templar Blue 09056. This is a nice color for denim. That's more than I'm gonna need. Like I said, I'm kinda funky. Smoke all over town from all these fires, and got everything closed up, got an air purifier going, but I'm still kind of a mess. the same denim color. I'll be doing the coat and hat differently. Caine's got a breastplate on for his Warcaster armor. So we'll just go ahead and give Watts the same treatment. Okay. Alright. Need to let that dry a bit, I think, before moving on. Now I suppose I can get the hair, I guess. So, Rainy Gray 0903-8. Dot's enough to get started on Caine. What's kind of funny is he's got the same hairstyle as Bruce Campbell does when he in his role of Ash in Evil Dead. But Caine has always been a gunslinger, and that has not changed in his third version. Okay, I'm getting a little rough breath. I'm going to have to go closer to the air purifier. 09161. And this is going to be the hair color for Ryan and Watts. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry and move on a bit. Okay. Next is Olive Green 09035. So I'm doing more of a mercenary than a Signar scheme. And this one's pretty much going exclusively on coats. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. It really, really sucks when your home state is on fire. there's still people out there who've had it much worse off than I have. Well, this is going to go really slow if I can't spend more than a few minutes at a time away from that air purifier. Hopefully a nice big rainstorm comes and takes care of some of this. Okay. Going to let that dry for a bit before moving on. Okay. Smoke's a lot better today. 09197 old bronze, so that was just a rough couple of days with Colorado being downwind of California and California being on fire. Again, there's people who have had it much worse off than I have in regards to these fires and other natural disasters this past year or so. My own gripes about what I've been through have been relatively inconsequential. So I try not to make a big deal about any of that. So let's see here, what else? That bit, I think. Then I want to do part of the rifle. Not necessarily all, but part of it. So, I've said before, Caine is basically the James Bond of Signar, secretly a spy, but the Black 13th are basically a Warblade, basically a Black Ops squad that did work extensively with Caine and are one of the, were Signar's three-man character unit they got in first edition when alongside the other main four factions, with Cador getting the Great Bears, Crix getting the Wither Shadow Combine, and can't remember the name of what the Protectorate got, but they got a Scrutatorn as bodyguards. There's just a couple of colors left to do here now. So, the mage lock weapons that gun mages use have to be specially forged because channeling spells into bullets will ruin guns rather quickly from increased heat, and mage locks have to be, again, specially forged, and they don't use just any bullet, they use special ammunition designed to handle, or rather designed to carry the spells. I think I'm at Rune Shot, those are the bullets they use. And Caine has his Warcaster armor on, more plates. It's just dawned on me that this is the first Warcaster I've done since I started doing these videos. But comparing a Warcaster to a normal wizard is like, or rather a normal wizard to a Warcaster is like comparing a normal flashlight to a movie studio floodlight that turns night into day. Warcasters have this overflow of power, and all of their equipment, from their weapons and armor to the warjacks they control, are designed to use that power, which is usually shown via the boost ability. Realize I'm still talking funny, but I'm still kind of recovering from all the smoke the last couple of days. But One of the main features of Warcaster armor is a power field, essentially a force field that feeds itself off of the Warcaster's magical power, which is reflected by focus or focus points that the Warcaster can either allocate to his Warjacks to enhance their abilities or keep to fuel his own. It would depend on the exact tactical situation you're faced with from turn to turn. The rules on how the power field is represented has changed over the editions, but force field is the closest description in terms of how it operates and what it does. It should be noted that the Retribution of Syro Warjacks, many of them have actual force fields, which are represented by additional damage boxes, which can be repaired quickly by the jack itself by simply spending a focus point to restore it as long as the generator system is intact. But power fields are similar. Alright. Okay. 09005 Phoenix Red. Hellslingers will have these neckerchiefs on them. I need to let that sit a bit before I finish the last two base coats. Okay. 09110 oiled leather. Yeah, I just don't feel very talkative right now. But I think something I forgot to mention about the Black 13th, which Ryan Watts were once part of, is they were basically a Black Ops squad of gun mages. think I need to repaint her cloth there. I don't think that's supposed to be the part of the coat or anything. Take care of that off camera. There might be a little more armor I missed on Caine here. Oh well, just more touch-ups to do, that's fine. Oh, there it is. 09206 Tarnished Steel. Not too much of this, but in terms of weaponry, most firearms in the Iron Kingdoms, which is the world of Warmachine, are single-shot weapons reloaded with what resembles a modern cartridge, something akin to our percussion cap firearms from our history. But Signar's on their third generation of fully automatic weapons, and the repeating long rifle used by Signar long gunners does have a 5-round magazine that can be swapped out like a more modern clip, but that's the exception rather than the rule. Caine's the only gun mage with 6 shooters, and his Spellstorm pistols are customized weapons. Okay, that's it for base coats outside of a few touch-ups, so once that's all dry I can start shading. Okay, time to start the shading. 09109 Ruddy leather. Mott's goggles are going to get really tricky here. And so many colors touch on these models, it's going to be difficult to do more than 1 or maybe 2 at a time. Oh, that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. think I can safely do one, maybe a couple more colors. So let's try the hair. 09160 Woodstain Brown. Yeah, the goggles are dry enough. I think I can go ahead and get away with this. So, or maybe not. Let's carefully blot that away. And 09037 Pure Black for Caine. And 09004 Fire Red. I think I can get the scarves too. Don't need too much of that. Okay. Let that dry, move on in a bit. Okay. Next color. Let's see. Yeah, 09034 Muddy Olive. Don't know why I'm starting with Watson, just arbitrary decision. and 09205 Blackened Steel. Again, I'm just trying to get every last bit possible out of this bottle of paint. Okay. Let that dry, move on in a bit. Okay, next up, 09196H Pewter. And Breonne blue 09055. Now this one's really jammed up. Uh-oh. Alright, that'll be enough. Whoa. Got no grip today. Okay, that just leaves the skin tones, and I gotta wait for the Pewter to dry first. Okay, last of the shading. Tanned Shadow 09043. Careful getting the small surface area I have to work with. Also trying to avoid nicking his goggles. Zero 9046 Fair Shadow. Where is it? There it is. There it is. And then Golden Shadow 09091. Oh, that does not look good. Try that again. That's better. And the only skin showing on Caine is his face. Actually, that's the case with a lot of warcasters. Okay. Once that's dry, I can get the eyes started and work on the highlight some other details. Okay. 09039 pure white. Been a couple of days since I've been able to work on this, just been really busy. I'm gonna get the eyes and the lighting effects started, then get the base started. Okay. A little shaky right now, just getting up. Maybe a little over caffeinated. And Watt's eyes are covered by goggles, but Ryan's are in plain view. And this isn't easy, it just takes a lot of work. Okay. Alright. Thing out a little bit. Okay. Get the lenses on Watt's gun. And the runes along the barrel here. Ryan doesn't really have any prominent runes on her weapons. Nor does Caine on his, but he does have smokestacks. And the basically the boiler for his Warcaster armor. As all Warcasters are characters, their armor is custom fit to each one and perfectly suits their overall playstyle. And when you look at the need to get another brush, so I'll get the arc started. When you look at the Iron Kingdom's role-playing game, heavier armor means higher armor bonus and more damage reduction, but generally lower defense, making them easier to hit. So Caine favors mobility over armor, and while he has lighter armor, he's got higher defense. An antithesis of that would be, say, Karchev the Terrible of Cador or E. Dominic Darius of Signar, which both have low defenses but high armor. That Karchev is basically a warjack warcaster, being essentially a cyborg, a quadriplegic, 120-plus-year-old man grafted into a warjack chassis. Well, Darius just has heavy armor along the lines of what Cador and Manowar use. Okay. Let that dry, then do the lighting effects, the pupils, and get the rest of the base arcs painted, then start highlighting. Okay. 09037 pure black. Eep. Let's make sure I'm in camera. This will be a lot easier once I find one that'll let me do first-person point of view. And then sky blue 09018. It's still a bit early. Planka's the only one with distinct runes on the barrel is Watts. So diluting with water, about half water, half paint. That's what you want it to look like, give or take. Just going to carefully brush along the runes I picked out in the white earlier. I think dilute just a little more. Dab it over the scope of his rifle there. And then fire orange 09006. That is plugged up quite badly. So, well, so plugged up the paperclip. So plugged up the paperclip almost took the nozzle out. And that little tiny pinprick will be, that little tiny pinprick will be plenty. About half paint, half water to dilute. Okay, let's dab that into Caine's furnace. And now, since they're mercenaries, Sun Yellow 09008. And again, this is just one way to do the arcs. I just arbitrarily pick a color for each faction. And while this Warcaster unit does have the Signar partisan rule, meaning they count as a Signar when taken in a Signar army, their predominant faction is mercenary. When you think about that, makes it a little weird. But, like I said, looking at the warjacks available to mercenaries and to Signar, general consensus among me and my friends is that Caine's Hellslingers have more to benefit, or more to gain from going Signar and using their warjacks as opposed to mercenary, but, yep. Okay. Let that dry, and then I can start highlighting and then finish up the arcs on the base, and then it's getting the flock on after that. Highlighting. Golden highlight 09093. Let's see that one. And fair highlight 09048. Yeah, this build-up will happen sometimes if you squeeze out a little too much and don't catch it, or if you squeeze the bottle when you're handling it and don't realize it. It happens sometimes. I wouldn't worry too much about it. and highlight 09045. Ashen blue 09057. Yeah, 09198 Tarnished brass. I had to think a minute on that one. The order of operation is kind of important here, just like it is in an actual game of Warmachine hordes when you're getting your order of activation the right way can mean the difference between victory and defeat. I guess she just has her pistols. Zero 9111 burnt orange. This one's become clogged too. It happens, just don't worry about it, just deal with it. Easy to do. No, might be a bit much, but it's okay. Okay. Pale Olive 09036. Seems to be a bit wet. Where is it? 09207 True Silver. I just realized I forgot to do Watt's goggles. I'll have to backtrack and do that real quick here. Dab that burnt orange real quick and just. Well, that's not going to work, so I'm just going to have to do it a different way. That's okay. It's fine. Just take a thinner brush and okay. Let's do that. So I need Fire Orange 09006 again. This is one that's almost shut, but I don't need much. What's going on? The bandanas. Driftwood Brown 09162. Not a lot of this, just on Watts and Ryan's hair. And then Pure Black 09037. Gonna get a fair bit of this because it's going on two significant things. First being, this will be the highlight for Caine's hair. So, gray, black, black for base coat, shade, and highlight. Gives you a decent looking black. This took me forever to figure out. Now, that scrap styrene, that's just for another project. Get this thing out again. It's that self-healing cutting mat of mine with the base markings on it for Warmachine. Is it in? Yeah. So, getting them centered the way I want them. Trying to line up the center of their face as close as possible to that center line here. And switching to the larger flat brush. There'll be one more thing I have to do to this base before I add the flock. Okay, once that dries, I can do the last thing I'm going to do to the base and then start flocking. Okay, Pure White 09039. And we're going to get the names on them. Caine. And again, this is not easy to do with a brush, but Ryan and Watts. Takes a lot of practice to be able to do that. So once that dries, I can flock. Alright, time to flock. White glue. Gonna have to refill this. Plenty of water. And a somewhat beat up brush. You're going to basically sacrifice to do this. Mix it all up. Keep your brush nice and wet. And carefully painting this in around the feet of the model. Now again, in terms of the slot bases, because Warmachine still has a tab and slot system with the model's feet, I use, generally anyway, little bits of masking tape that I put in the base before I put the model in. This will generally catch the flock and keep it in the base and not falling through. And taking a dry brush and just pushing the excess flock away from the feet. And repeating with the rest. This is going to need to sit for a bit before I do the final step. Explain why when I get that far. Actually, I've explained why in every, or almost every video, but again, to get good at this, it just takes practice and repetition. Only those who have the patience to do simple things perfectly ever acquire the skill necessary to do difficult things easily. Not sure who originally said that, though. Okay. And that'll need to set for a bit. Again, I'll explain why when I do the final step in a few minutes. Last step, scenic cement. This is a sprayer brush-on adhesive. Then eyedropper glass, because this will bond to plastic and clog it up almost, well, very quickly. I almost said almost instantly, but that's not quite true. So the reason you need to wait a bit is this will push the flock around if it's still wet. So you don't need to wait too terribly long. I've waited about 20, 30 minutes, something like that. But it will, again, push your basic material around and make gaps. This will soak it right up, so you just want to get it to where it looks wet again. And then this will give it a rock hard finish. Just cleaning out my eyedropper off screen. A glass one will last a lot longer. It's easier to clean. Because again, this will bond to plastic pretty quickly. That's it. Caine's Hellslingers from the Mercenaries faction of Warmachine. Got a few more, looks like 3 more Hordes actually videos coming up for a bunch of Malifaux. And then it's next up when Bacon attacks. Until next time, I am Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, signing out.